The galactic broadcast opened with dramatic orchestral music that sounded like someone was murdering a synthesizer. "Welcome," the announcer's voice boomed across 12 star systems, "to the Verdes 8 survival trial, the most dangerous proving ground in civilized space, where warriors test themselves against nature's cruelest design." Ranger Beckett Holloway watched from the observation deck of the orbital station, arms crossed, expression suggesting she was watching paint dry. The screen showed sweeping shots of dense jungle canopy, dramatic lightning strikes, and what appeared to be plants actively trying to murder small animals. "Looks like Oregon in spring," she said. Lieutenant Oliver Grant, standing beside her in his crisp Earth Defense Forces uniform, gave her a concerned look. "That's supposed to be the galaxy's deadliest jungle." "Yeah, but it's not actively on fire. So, better than California," the announcer continued, voice dripping with dramatic gravitas. "This jungle breaks all camps. No species has ever completed the trial without casualties, and this year," the voice paused for effect, "we welcome humanity to their first trial." The camera cut to the 12 competing species assembled in the staging area. Impressive beings, all of them. The Krell warrior stood 3 meters tall in ceremonial armor. The Velkari mantis people had brought enough bladed weapons to stock a medieval armory. The crystalline Kixtal shimmered with integrated energy shields. And then there was Beckett, in cargo pants and a moisture-wicking shirt, holding a backpack that looked like she'd bought it at a sporting goods store clearance sale. The other species were staring at her with what the translation software labeled as pity and anticipatory grief. "They think I'm going to die," Beckett observed. "To be fair," Oliver said, "so do I. A little bit. Your confidence is inspiring." The briefing room was designed to be intimidating. Holographic displays showed death statistics, casualty reports, graphs trending ominously upward. A Kixtal official, crystalline body refracting the room's light into rainbow patterns, stood at the front, its translated voice carrying tones of deep concern. "We must emphasize the extreme danger of Verdes 8. 23% casualty rate across all participating species over the past century." "23% of what?" Beckett asked, taking notes on a battered datapad. "Injuries or actual deaths?" "Both. So like broken bones or deaths, 23% death rate. Injuries are at 68%. Beckett nodded, typing. "Noted. That's actually better than Denali in winter." The Kixtal's colors shifted to confused purple. "What is Denali?" "Mountain in Alaska. Gets pretty cold." "Alaska," the alien repeated slowly, as if trying to place it. "Is that a training facility?" "It's where I'm from." Oliver leaned over. "Should we be concerned about the death rate?" "About what?" Beckett asked. "The bugs or the plants?" "Both," the Kixtal said, its voice taking on a tone the translator rendered as exasperation. "The vegetation secretes contact toxins. The fauna includes apex predators with neurotoxic venom. The weather patterns generate acidic precipitation. The insects carry blood parasites. The terrain shifts due to aggressive root systems. They'll kill you." Beckett looked up from her notes. "So, like camping in Australia." The room went silent. Several species exchanged glances that suggested they thought humans might be suicidal. The Kixtal's colors cycled through what was probably deep concern. "Perhaps we should discuss the survival equipment we've prepared for your species." They pulled up a holographic display. Environmental suit with full atmospheric processing, energy barrier generator, emergency beacon with automatic medical extraction, nutrient synthesizer, temperature regulation system. Enough technology to stock a small research station. This should compensate for humanity's disadvantages, the Kixtal said delicately. "Our what now?" Beckett asked. "Your species evolved in climate-controlled cities, yes? Protected environments? We understand humans require very specific conditions to survive." "Not exactly. The xenobiological database indicates humans need," the alien consulted its datapad, "consistent 20 degrees Celsius temperature, filtered air, processed nutrition, and protection from wildlife." That's just how we prefer to live. We can handle worse. But your species has no natural armor, no venom resistance, no environmental adaptations for hostile climates. Beckett shrugged. We've got thumbs and bad attitudes. Works pretty well. Oliver was trying not to smile. The Kixtal gestured at all the equipment again. Nevertheless, we've prepared this gear to ensure your survival. I appreciate it, Beckett said, but I'm just bringing a tarp and some rope. Mass alien confusion. Colors cycling through concerned yellows and alarmed oranges. The Krell warrior made a sound like grinding rocks, probably laughter. That's insufficient, the Kixtal managed. It's what I use for weekend camping. This is not camping, this is a survival trial against a hostile environment designed by evolution to kill. Right, Beckett said. Camping. The deployment shuttles were works of art. Streamlined, efficient, built to survive atmospheric entry in hostile conditions. Beckett watched the other species board with their equipment. The Krell warrior needed 3 cargo drones just for his weapons. The crystalline beings had portable shield generators. The insectoids had environmental suits that looked like they could survive a nuclear blast. Beckett had her backpack. 35 liters. Looked like it had been through a few too many trail miles. Oliver walked with her to the human shuttle. You sure about this? About what? Not taking the environmental suit, or the emergency beacon, or the... Ollie, I've done week-long trips in Alaska with less gear than this. That was Earth. Yeah, and Earth has grizzly bears. This planet has things that the translation software literally calls murder trees. Trees can't murder you. They can fall on you maybe, but that's an accident. The announcer's voice boomed across the deployment bay. Competitors, prepare for insertion. You will have 6 hours to establish shelter before nightfall. Remember, this jungle has ended the lives of warriors far greater than you. Survival is not guaranteed. Glory is earned through blood. That guy really loves his job, Beckett observed. The shuttle ride down was smooth. Too smooth. Clearly designed not to stress the competitors before the real challenge began. The Krell was checking his weapons. The crystalline beings were running diagnostics on their shields. The Velkari were meditating, forearms crossed, mandibles clicking in prayer. Beckett was reading the safety card. In the event of atmospheric breach, oxygen masks will deploy from overhead compartments, she read aloud. Just like commercial airlines. The shuttle door opened. The jungle hit them like a wet blanket made of heat and humidity. Beckett stepped out, took a deep breath, and smiled. Oh, this is nice, very tropical. Behind her, the Krell was already complaining about the moisture. The crystalline beings were activating environmental shields to keep water off their bodies. The insectoids were sealing their suits. The announcer's voice echoed through their comm units. The human has chosen minimal protection. How brave! How foolish! 6 hours until nightfall. Build your shelters, survive, prove your worth. Beckett shouldered her backpack and started walking into the jungle. The canopy was dense, easily 40 meters high. The underbrush was thick but navigable. She could hear water nearby. Good, fresh water source. The Krell was setting up some kind of energy bunker. The crystalline beings were assembling a prefabricated shelter with integrated defense systems. The Velkari were using plasma cutters to clear a perimeter. Beckett found a nice tree. Solid hardwood, probably. Good branch structure. She started climbing. The announcer's voice crackled through the broadcast. The human is climbing. Perhaps fleeing from ground predators? A sound strategy, though. Beckett reached a solid branch fork about 8 meters up. Perfect. She pulled rope from her pack and started lashing together a basic platform. I'm building a treehouse, she called down to nobody in particular. The announcer went silent, probably trying to figure out what a treehouse was. 4 hours later, Beckett had a functional shelter. Nothing fancy, just a platform with a tarp overhead for rain, secured to 3 solid branches. She'd hung a water bag from a higher branch, rigged a simple pulley system for her food pack, and even set up a hammock. Below, she could hear chaos. The Krell was fighting something. Plasma weapons discharge lit up the jungle canopy. Probably the venomous plants the briefing had mentioned. The crystalline beings were having some kind of structural crisis. Apparently, the humidity was affecting their energy shields. Someone, might have been the insectoids, was screaming about parasites. Beckett opened a bag of trail mix and settled into her hammock. The sunset through the jungle canopy was actually quite beautiful. Lots of purple and orange. Very aesthetic. Her comm unit buzzed. Oliver's voice. Status report? Shelter complete. Water source identified. No immediate threats. Pretty relaxing, actually. The other species are activating emergency beacons. Yeah, I can hear the plasma fire. 3 have already evacuated. It's only been 4 hours. The Krell warrior is requesting medical extraction for thermal stress. It's like 30 degrees Celsius. That's just warm. The crystalline beings are apparently melting. Huh, that's rough. She ate some trail mix. Almonds, dried cranberries, dark chocolate chips. Good stuff. The announcer's voice cut through the emergency channels, all dramatic composure completely gone. How is she alive? The human is sitting in an improvised structure, consuming unprocessed organic matter, showing no signs of distress. This is unprecedented. This is impossible. Beckett keyed her comm. I'm eating trail mix. It's not that weird. Trail mix? What is trail mix? Nuts and dried fruit. Hiking food. The announcer made a sound that the translator gave up trying to interpret. Night fell. The jungle came alive with sounds that were probably supposed to be terrifying. Beckett found them soothing. Kind of like the woods back home, but with less chance of stumbling into a moose. She wrapped herself in her sleeping bag, 40-degree rated, perfectly adequate, and closed her eyes. Below, 11 species had activated emergency beacons. 3 had already evacuated. The Krell warrior was fighting off venomous plants with plasma weapons, winning but exhausted. The crystalline beings were huddled in their shelter, using emergency power to keep the humidity from literally dissolving them. And Ranger Beckett Holloway, park ranger from Alaska, was sleeping peacefully in a treehouse she'd built in 4 hours, having the most restful night she'd had in weeks. No traffic noise, no neighbors. No responsibility except surviving, which was basically just camping with cameras. Perfect. The announcer's voice crackled one last time before the broadcast cut to emergency protocols. How is she alive? Beckett was already asleep. She'd answer that question in the morning. If they survived until then. Night on Vertus 8 was when things got truly dangerous, according to the briefing materials. Beckett woke up around midnight to sounds that were probably supposed to be terrifying. Something howled in the distance. Bioluminescent plants pulsed with eerie light, releasing spores that the hazard guide had specifically warned would cause severe neurological disruption. She rolled over in her hammock, checked that her food bag was still secure, and went back to sleep. Down on the jungle floor, the nocturnal predators had emerged. 6-legged things with too many eyes and what appeared to be venomous spines. The broadcast cameras caught them prowling through the underbrush, hunting. The Krell warrior's energy bunker was lit up like a Christmas tree, every defensive system active. The crystalline beings had sealed themselves in an environmental pod. The insectoids were using flame weapons to create a sterile zone around their shelter, and Beckett was snoring gently in her treehouse, 45 minutes into REM sleep. The announcer's voice had gone from dramatic to genuinely confused. The human continues to sleep, despite the presence of 17 distinct apex predators within a 100-meter radius. In the orbital command center, Oliver was watching multiple screens, trying not to laugh. Around him, alien observers were in various states of distress. The temperature is dropping, one of the Kixtal scientists said, its crystalline body flickering with alarm. 15 degrees Celsius, lethal levels. On screen, Beckett stirred, reached into her pack, pulled out a hoodie, put it on, went back to sleep. Bit chilly, her sleep-addled voice mumbled through the audio pickup. The command center went silent. That's The Kixtal scientist started. That's below optimal human temperature. She should be experiencing hypothermic shock. Oliver shrugged. She's from Alaska. 15 Celsius is sweater weather. Sweater weather? Light jacket territory. Maybe long sleeves. What temperature does Alaska reach? In winter? -40 sometimes. 3 alien observers immediately left the command center. One might have been crying. The cameras had excellent night vision. The galactic broadcast was showing split screens now. All 12 original competitors, though 3 spots were empty following evacuations. Krell Warrior, huddled in energy bunker, covered in medical gel for the toxin burns from the plants. Using 45% of emergency power reserves. Vital signs elevated, crystalline beings, sealed in environmental pod, running dehumidifiers at maximum. Using 52% of emergency power. Stress fractures visible in their structures. Insectoid species. Maintaining sterile perimeter with continuous flame weapons, using 61% of emergency power. 2 members showing signs of heat exhaustion from their own defenses. Velkari warriors. In defensive formation, all 4 arms holding weapons, 3 members taking shifts sleeping while 1 stands guard. Using 38% of emergency power, looking tired but determined. And then there was Beckett, reading a book by Headlamp. The camera zoomed in on the title, A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. The human is... The announcer struggled for words. Reading literature? For entertainment? In a survival situation? It's a good book, Beckett said, not looking up. Funny. About hiking the Appalachian Trail. What is the Appalachian Trail? Long hiking path on Earth, like 3,000 kilometers. People walk it for fun. The announcer made a sound that the translator couldn't parse. Might have been choking. Above Beckett's hammock, something dangled from a rope. A stuff sack suspended 3 meters up, tied off to a higher branch. The broadcast cameras focused on it. Alien scientists in the command center leaned forward. Why is she suspending nutrients in the air? One asked. Oliver, who'd been expecting this question for hours, took a breath. To keep animals out of it. Silence. She's predicting animal behavior patterns? A Quixtal scientist asked slowly. Calculating optimal height based on local fauna jumping capabilities. This requires significant cognitive processing and threat assessment. No, Oliver interrupted. She's just camping. It's called a bear bag. You hang food so bears can't get it. Bears? Large omnivorous mammals on Earth. They like human food. And humans have developed defensive strategies against them? We just hang the food. Bears can't climb thin ropes. The sophistication of human survival adaptations is remarkable. It's really not. Kids learn this in summer camp. You train your juveniles in survival protocols? Oliver realized he'd made another mistake. That's a different conversation. The rain started around 2 a.m. The hazard warnings lit up immediately. Acidic precipitation, pH 4.5, capable of causing chemical burns to unprotected tissue. Aliens sealed themselves in protective gear. Force fields activated. Environmental suits cycled to full coverage. Beckett woke up, felt the first drops, and adjusted her tarp. The rain pattered against the waterproof fabric. She secured the corners, checked that her hammock was under full coverage, and settled back down. Oh, acid rain, she mumbled. Haven't seen this since Beijing in the 2040s. The announcer's voice cracked. She's not even using protective equipment. Oliver, still in the command center at 2 a.m. because nobody was letting him leave, sighed. That's not acid rain. That's just rain with a low pH. A Quixtal scientist turned its entire crystalline body toward him. Exactly. Deadly. Have you heard of lemon juice? What is lemon juice? Citrus fruit extract. pH around 2. Humans consume it regularly. Consume? You ingest corrosive liquids? It tastes good on fish. The scientist's colors cycled through confused purple to alarmed orange to what might have been existential crisis blue. Around 3 a.m. the insects came. Blood drinkers. according to the species database. Mosquito-like, but the size of hummingbirds, with proboscises that could penetrate light armor, carried parasites that caused fever, hallucinations, and in 12% of cases, death. The swarm descended on the jungle like a biblical plague. Sonic repellents activated across all alien shelters. Chemical barriers deployed. One species started using electrical fields. In her treehouse, Beckett woke up to the whining buzz, reached into her pack, pulled out a small bottle, sprayed herself down, went back to sleep. The insects avoided her completely. "What is that chemical weapon?" the announcer shouted, all pretense of professional broadcasting gone. Oliver was now drinking something that aliens had assured him was mild stimulant beverage, but tasted like battery acid. "Bug spray. DEET. You can buy it at any store on Earth. Stores, you commercialize defensive technologies. It's like $5 a bottle." The command center erupted. Scientists frantically accessing human commercial databases, finding camping supply websites, discovering that humans casually sold defensive technology to anyone with a credit card. "These mosquitoes," a scientist said, reading from Beckett's audio log. "She says Alaska has ones the size of quarters." "Earth currency," Oliver explained. "Coin, about 24 millimeters diameter. Their insects are larger than vertebrate specimens. I mean, not by much. And humans simply tolerate this? We complain about it. But yeah." By 4 a.m., the Kickstal scientific community had published 3 emergency papers. Human environmental tolerance, a survival paradox, chemical defense mechanisms in Terran populations, thermal regulation capabilities of death world species. The leading theory was that humans had military-grade genetic modifications. Oliver tried to explain. "She's just from Alaska." "What is Alaska?" "Cold place on Earth. Northern region, lots of wilderness." "Wilderness?" "Undeveloped land, nature, wild animals." "What kind of animals?" Oliver hesitated. He knew this was a bad idea, but they kept asking. "Bears, moose, wolves, that kind of thing." "Bears? You mentioned bears before. What are bears?" "Large mammals, apex predators. They can weigh up to 680 kilograms. The command center went silent. "And humans live near these creatures?" "Some humans live in the same territories, yeah." "By choice?" "Well, the bears were there first." Someone fainted. Oliver was pretty sure it was one of the crystalline beings, based on the shattering sound. Dawn broke on day 2. 9 species remained. 3 had evacuated during the night. Power reserve status, Krell, 78% depleted, requesting medical extraction. Crystalline beings, 81% depleted, structural integrity compromised insectoids, 83% depleted, heat exhaustion in 2 members, Velkari, 42% depleted, fatigued but functional. Human, no emergency power used, 0. Beckett woke up, stretched in her hammock, and looked out at the sunrise through the jungle canopy. "Man, I slept great," she said, yawning. "No train noise." In the orbital command center, the galactic survival community was convening an emergency meeting. The topic, transmitted across 12 species communication networks. What the hell is Earth? And why hadn't anyone warned them about it sooner? Beckett climbed down from her treehouse at dawn, moving with the practiced ease of someone who'd spent a significant portion of her life in trees. The broadcast cameras followed her descent. Alien observers watched with the kind of tension usually reserved for defusing bombs. She reached the ground, set down her pack, and started stretching. Hip flexors, hamstrings, shoulders. The basic routine she'd been doing for years. The announcer's voice was hesitant. "She's performing ritual movements? Is this a prayer to death gods?" In the command center, Oliver was on his 3rd cup of alien battery acid beverage. "She's stretching. Prevents muscle cramps." "She's anticipating muscular dysfunction and taking preventative measures?" "She's stretching because sitting in a hammock all night makes you stiff." Beckett finished her routine and headed toward the stream she'd identified yesterday. The water was clear, moving fast over rocks. She knelt down, pulled out a water bottle with a built-in filter, and filled it. The announcer's voice cracked. "The water! It's contaminated with parasites and bacteria!" "Yeah," Beckett said, holding up the bottle. "I filtered it. See this? Water filter. Makes it safe to drink." She took a long drink. In the command center, 3 alien observers fainted simultaneously. Medical staff had to be called. "She consumed unprocessed planetary water," a Kixtal scientist whispered, colors cycling through horrified orange. "The microbial content alone should be lethal." "The filter removes the bad stuff," Oliver explained tiredly. "A portable filtration device? That's military-grade environmental processing. It's $30 on Amazon." "What's Amazon?" Oliver decided not to answer that question. In a research facility 3 systems away, a team of xenobiologists had finally pulled up Earth's complete environmental data. They'd been avoiding it, assuming it was just another garden world like most species' homeworlds. The lead scientist, a crystalline being named Creelvan, started reading, then stopped, then read again. "This can't be right. Gravity, 1G standard. Atmospheric pressure, 101.325 kPa at sea level. Oxygen concentration, 21%. Creelvan's colors shifted to confused purple. These are extreme parameters." A colleague leaned over. "How extreme?" 1G is considered crushing by most species. We operate at 0.4G, the Krell at 0.7G. 1 full G is... And the oxygen? 21%? Creelvan's voice rose. "That's volatile. Most habitable worlds maintain 12-15%, above 18%, and you risk spontaneous combustion from any ignition source. There must be an error in the database." They pulled up weather patterns. Hurricane systems with wind speeds exceeding 250 kilometers per hour. Tornado formations, blizzards, sandstorms, tectonic activity, active, volcanic activity, active, seismic events, frequent. This planet is classified as... Creelvan checked the database. Designation: Class 12 Death World, do not colonize. Warning: hostile native megafauna. Extreme environmental variability. Recommend military-grade environmental suits for any surface contact. Silence in the research facility. And humans evolved there. Back on Virtus 8, the apex predator made its appearance. 6-legged, 4 meters long, scaled hide that could deflect most energy weapons. Venom that caused paralysis within minutes. The galaxy's scariest thing on this planet. It emerged from the underbrush about 20 meters from Beckett. The remaining alien competitors activated defensive systems immediately. Weapons charged, shields raised. Beckett looked up from her water bottle. "Oh, cool. Looks like a monitor lizard." She pulled out her datapad and took photos. The predator moved closer, curious, probably sizing her up as potential prey. Beckett stood up slowly, making herself look bigger, spread her arms, made loud noises. "Hey, go on! Get out of here!" The predator paused, tilted its head, then turned and left. The jungle went silent. Did she just intimidate it? The announcer sounded like he was having a breakdown. Oliver, who'd been watching this with his face in his hands, spoke slowly. "Basic wildlife encounter protocols. You make noise, look big, back away slowly." "That works on apex predators?" "Works on grizzly bears most of the time." "What are grizzly bears?" "Large earth predators, up to 680 kilograms. Sometimes they eat people." The command center erupted into chaos. Again. The evacuation rate accelerated. By noon on day 2, only 4 species remained besides humans. The Krell warrior was extracted via medical shuttle. Diagnosis: thermal stress, toxin exposure, exhaustion. He'd lasted longer than most, but finally admitted defeat. The crystalline beings developed structural fractures from the humidity. Emergency evacuation. They were literally falling apart. The insectoid species lost 3 members to what they called aggressive local flora, plants that secreted contact toxins. The survivors evacuated shortly after. Beckett, meanwhile, was foraging. She'd found a berry patch, was examining the fruits carefully, testing them, checking colors and patterns against her mental database of earth plants. "These are similar to salmon berries," she said, eating one. "Good vitamin C." "She's consuming unprocessed vegetation," the announcer screamed. "She's eating berries," Oliver said flatly. "Without laboratory analysis?" "She tested them first. Look, she's using earth foraging protocols. Check the color, smell, taste test on lips. Wait, taste test on tongue. Wait, swallow small amount. Wait." That's systematic biological threat assessment. That's Girl Scout camping skills. The galactic scientific community was drowning in emergency publications. Earth, a comprehensive horror, detailed the planet's extreme conditions, human evolution, survival of the most resilient. Proposed that humans must have the highest genetic adaptability in known space. Death world inhabitants and their casual relationship with mortality had an abstract that Oliver particularly enjoyed. Humans regularly expose themselves to their planet's dangers for recreation. They call it camping, hiking, or vacationing. Mental health evaluations pending. That evening, Beckett improved her shelter, added more waterproofing, reinforced some branches, made the whole structure more secure. Then she pulled out a small metal rod and a piece of metal, struck them together. Sparks flew. Within minutes, she had a small fire going. The broadcast erupted. "She's creating combustion." Multiple species were transmitting emergency warnings. "Open flame in a high-oxygen environment." Oliver had given up. It's a campfire, for warmth and cooking. She's willingly sitting next to open flame, the atmospheric oxygen concentration alone. Earth's oxygen concentration is 21%. We use fire all the time. 21%? How do you not spontaneously combust? We're careful. Beckett was holding something over the fire on a makeshift spit. Some kind of fish she'd caught from the stream. "What is she incinerating?" the announcer asked. "Caught a fish. Gonna eat it." She rotated the spit, checking the fish. The skin was crisping nicely. After a few minutes, she pulled it off and started eating. 2 more species evacuated immediately. Their official reason: psychological trauma from observing human behavior. By nightfall of day 2, only 2 species remained in the trial. Humans, represented by Ranger Beckett Holloway, who was currently enjoying grilled fish by her campfire, and the Velkari, the mantis warriors, who were too proud to quit but were clearly struggling. Their emergency power was at 73% depletion. They were exhausted, wounded, and running on determination alone. The trial organizers held an emergency meeting. The broadcast was temporarily suspended. The question on everyone's mind wasn't whether Ranger Holloway would survive anymore. The question was, should they warn the galaxy that humans come from a planet that makes Vertus 8 look like a vacation resort? And more importantly, why was she enjoying this? Oliver had the answer to that last question, but when he tried to explain stress relief and getting away from it all, 3 more species filed formal complaints about human psychology being fundamentally incomprehensible and possibly dangerous. The galaxy was learning an important lesson. Never underestimate someone who thinks camping is fun. Day 3, final stretch. The Velkari warrior was still in the trial, but barely. All 4 arms shook with exhaustion. Their equipment was running on fumes, emergency power at 91% depletion. They'd maintained their position through sheer pride and determination, but everyone watching knew they were done. Beckett woke up, stretched, and started boiling water in a small metal cup over her campfire. She dropped in some leaves she'd identified yesterday, local plant that smelled vaguely minty. "She's consuming unknown chemical compounds," the announcer said, voice hoarse from 2 days of continuous panic. Beckett took a sip. "It's mint. Well, mintish. Smells minty." Through their scout drone, the Velkari warrior watched this. Watched the human casually drinking unprocessed plant extract. Sitting by open flame, looking refreshed after 2 nights in a jungle that had broken 11 other species. The warrior made a decision. They activated their comm unit. "I yield." The announcer paused. "You... what?" "I yield. I cannot defeat someone who treats hell as a holiday." Beckett won by default at hour 46 of 48. She was confused about the big deal. "This was the dangerous jungle?" she asked Oliver at the extraction point. "I've done harder hikes in Denali." "You're a galactic celebrity now. For camping. For surviving what they thought was impossible." Beckett shouldered her pack. It was just camping. The Galactic Council convened within hours. Emergency session. Every species present. The topic: Earth's reclassification. "We cannot, in good conscience, continue to list Earth as a garden world with colonization potential," the Kixtal representative stated. "The data is clear. Class 12 death world. Indigenous survivors with extreme environmental adaptations." The motion passed unanimously. New protocols were established. Approach humans with caution. Do not underestimate their capabilities. Treat all human survival equipment as potentially military-grade technology. Beckett's bug spray, water filter, and ferro rod were now classified as restricted human technologies, requiring special permits to acquire. The markets went insane. Species lined up wanting to buy human survival tech. One crystalline consortium offered 10 planets for the chemical formula to DET. Beckett, watching this from Earth, blinked. You can literally look it up online. This caused another panic. They share their survival secrets freely. REI, a camping equipment store, became the largest interstellar corporation overnight. Their stock price went up 4,000%. Then the aliens wanted to visit Earth. "To prove ourselves," they said. "To test our mettle against the death world." Earth governments shrugged. "Sure, but sign this waiver." The waiver was 30 pages. Gravity warning, weather warning, wildlife warning, disease warning, insect warning. Liability release for falling, drowning, being eaten, being stung, being struck by lightning, altitude sickness, heat exhaustion, hypothermia, and acts of nature. The first tourist group landed in Wyoming. Stepped off their shuttle. Saw a thunderstorm approaching, immediately evacuated. "You advertised mild weather," they complained to Earth's tourism board. "That is mild weather." "There was electricity falling from the sky." "That's just lightning. Happens all the time." Multiple species now asking humans to teach Death World survival. Beckett was recruited to teach the first galactic survival course. "Sure," she said. "I run wilderness courses anyway." First lesson: basic camping skills. Location: State Park in Colorado. The aliens arrived in full environmental suits. Weapons, emergency beacons active. Beckett looked at them. "You won't need those." 3 aliens refused to leave the shuttle. "This is the beginner course," Beckett said. They still wouldn't leave. 6 months later, Beckett was back home in Alaska, planning a weekend camping trip when she got another message. Another species wanted training, wanted to learn on Earth. They suggested a tropical environment, thinking it would be easier than mountains or forests. "Sure," Beckett replied. "How about Florida in summer?" Oliver, who was copied on the message, sent back immediately. "You're going to break them. It's just Florida. You're going to introduce aliens to humidity, alligators, and mosquitoes in one trip. And if they survive that, we'll try Australia." "Please don't." "Why? Australia's lovely." "You know why." And that's how Ranger Beckett Holloway accidentally became the galaxy's most feared survival instructor by teaching basic camping skills. The Galactic Survival Trial on Verdis 8 was discontinued the following year. Too many species were embarrassed by the human who treated it like a pleasant weekend getaway. Earth is now classified as a forbidden training ground by 6 different species. Beckett thinks that's hilarious. She's currently planning a course called Introduction to Backpacking, Appalachian Trail Edition. 73 aliens have signed up. Oliver has already requested emergency medical support. And somewhere, in a Kickstal research facility, scientists are still trying to understand how humans consider camping to be fun. They've concluded that humans might be collectively insane. They're not entirely wrong.